Back. I had to make sure I wasn't dreaming when he said what he said. So, but I'm
here, of course, joined with Nick Bodkins of the Bodkins Show. Nick. What is going on, everybody? Here it's another Monday night with Buffoon and Bodkins. My name is Tanner Dawson of the Sports Buffoon here, and I am joined by Nick Bodkins of the Bodkins Show. Nick, what's up, dude?
What's up, man? It is Monday night. It's always a good Monday when you got that fantasy win in the bag, baby, and your real NFL team won. So you're just sitting back, chilling on Monday night, watching a not such a great game here, 49ers and Rams, real low scoring. It's kind of what I thought it would kind of be with the 49ers.
Yeah, I must say I am quite disappointed in I guess the lack of energy from the Rams right now going in this game. They let Jeff Wilson, make that big run untouched up the middle, however that happens. But yeah, it's to begin the game, or essentially for the first score, big score, touchdown. So just a big disappointment so far. You got Stafford 13 for 19, 97 yards, but it's getting blitzed like no other. You got Garoppolo out here with 138 and a tutty. And Cam Akers is leading the way for the Rams right now. The guy that mysteriously disappeared for a little bit at the beginning of the season. So, it's I don't know. I'm not liking the game so far. Let's just say that.
I had the Rams winning this game. The Rams just seem to I had the 49ers winning this game, actually. 49ers seem to have the Rams number. It's just like this weird circle of things that happen in that NFC West. The Rams have Arizona's number. The 49ers have Rams number, and Arizona kind of has beaten the 49ers a few times. And then you just got Seattle there, just kind of, doing whatever Seattle does.
Doing Geno things, dude. That's all it is. Yeah,
Geno things.
Well, guys, we got, once again, a couple of guests here tonight while we watch the GameCast as it is halftime. I'll bring it back up after halftime here. But we're going to bring in Jim BIRINGER. We'll talk a little bit of everything with him once again. And then Jonathan GRISHMAN, of course, will be joining us here in the fourth quarter to talk playoff baseball, right? The Braves just swept the Mets.
Yeah, he's got to be on cloud 95, right? I mean, Braves sweeping the Mets.
Let me give a check here. It's a big day for the Brewers in Philly right now, and Brewers have lost the last 3 games they needed to win, and right now Brewers are down 2-1, top of the 7th, and the Phillies are up 1-0 on the Astros into the 5th. 2 big games we got to watch for, as I'm pretty sure if the Phillies win or if the Brewers lose, Phillies will automatically get the bid for the final wildcard spot officially. So big game for me, obviously, because, I got a little relation with the Brewers. So
brother might be coming home early,
I was about to say, he might see his niece sooner than he wants. So we'll see. But yeah, so we'll kind of finish. That should be pretty much, I guess, figured out by the time Jonathan gets on. So, but yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, guys, of course. If you guys haven't already, like, subscribe, follow. We do this every Monday night, usually about halftime. And then we bring on, cover the second half of the game while the GameCast on as well. Like I said, while we, just kind of talk it out. It's almost like a Manning cast, but it's better. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't know who's saying that, but hey.
I am. I like Manning, though. They're freaking hilarious. So let's bring in Jim BIRINGER, guys.
Unless a dumber, uglier version of the Manning cast is what I'll call it.
Yeah, as long as I can be Peyton, I don't care.
So you're gonna break down the Bobby Wagner hit on the protester?
Exactly.
Break that down, man. That was the one play I missed. So I was out doing stuff with the daughter real quick, and apparently that happened all while I was away. So now I'm on Twitter trying to find it so I can play it for everybody.
I just sent you the link in Facebook.
Did you?
Yeah, I just sent you the link.
Oh, now I will play it over this No problem. No problem at all. Jim, what's going on, dude? We haven't talked with you in a while.
Not much, man. What's going on? Hockey season right around the corner. Giants, another victory for the Giants. So, I mean, a lot of everything's going on right now.
Hey, how are you feeling with the Giants? I mean, Saquon out there at quarterback on Sunday at times. They're traveling across the pond now to face my Packers on Sunday, early Sunday morning. But, that's going to be – I think it's going to be a close, ugly game because that's how both teams play it.
I mean, you summed it up right there. I mean, look, Daniel Jones hurt, Tyrod Taylor hurt. Who knows who's going out of quarterback or who the backup to the quarterback's going to be. And the Giants can't pass the ball. All they can do is run the football. And it's just going to be ugly across the pond. And somebody's Sunday is going to get ruined early.
It might be the folks in attendance because I think it's going to be a low-scoring game there, but they're going to be used to it watching soccer over there. So
yeah, exactly.
I expect a low-scoring game, a close game, and the Packers I think will eke it out just because that's what Aaron Rodgers they find a way.
I mean, look, if the Packers figure out the Giants are just going to run the football all day, then that's what it's going to be. I mean, we know the Giants really don't have any wide receivers and, obviously Daniel Jones does better running a football than he does passing a football. So, Graham Mckinnon can kick all the field goals he wants, but that ain't going to win you football games.
Not a lie there. Not a lie there. What do we know about this quarterback situation going on?
Right now, I mean, everybody's still Tyrod Taylor's still getting evaluated with everything, going on with, Tua and the necks and the heads and those big hits. He's, probably won't get an answer before they leave. Daniel Jones, obviously the ankle, most likely he's going to play. I mean, they don't really have any other options. I think if Tyrod Taylor was healthy and didn't take that hit, you might see him take a seat for a week and get it healed up because the guys were saying on the radio that you want a healthy Daniel Jones. If there was somebody else like they had the situation last year, Daniel Jones is probably marching out every game.
If Tyrod doesn't take that hit and doesn't get hurt, you may never see Daniel Jones the rest of the season. I think he's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones, is a better passer than Daniel Jones. But Tyrod's always he's just so unlucky. Like he's always that guy that before the next guy. In Buffalo, they traded him out when they drafted Josh Allen, said get him out. I think he was in Cleveland right before Baker Mayfield.
Wasn't he in San Diego?
Yeah, he was in San Diego, was their quarterback, and got the old shot to the lung, literally, and had to be rushed to the hospital, and then Justin Herbert takes the reins. So he's got to be like one of the most unlucky quarterbacks in the history of the league. He's always the guy before you get to the next guy. He's always serviceable. He's a very good serviceable backup quarterback / starter. Took the Bills to the playoffs a couple years ago. And then they got rid of him when they got Josh Allen. But he's always right around there. But yeah, I think he's still better than Daniel Jones. And we may never have seen Daniel Jones, but then he gets concussed, and now it looks like Jones gets to come back and play.
Tyrod took over. Davis Mills took over for Tyrod last year. So
yeah, he got hurt. He got hurt.
Injury.
Yeah, he got hurt in that game, right? And then they stuck with Dougie Mills. Yeah.
So very, very unlucky for Tyrod Taylor, unfortunately. But look, like you said, it's going to be an ugly game. Packers definitely have the edge heading into this one. But if you're a Giant fan, you're pleasantly surprised being 3-1 after 4 games.
Are you worried though? I mean, Saquon had 30 carries on yesterday. Are you worried about like maybe him like getting too many like reps and just getting run into the ground, because that's a lot of carries? I know he hasn't had a lot of carries the last 2 years due to injuries, but is that something that Giants fans are worried about? Either a re-injury or just getting beat to the ground here because of all the carries he's getting.
I mean, I would definitely be worried getting 30 plus carries a game. I mean, that's where the Giants have to figure out who's going to play wide receiver and who they're going to throw the football to, and maybe get some curl routes, thinking dunks down the ride, maybe get him involved in the passing game. But again, Evan Neal, he got hurt. That offensive line's actually looked pretty good. this year. Outside of the game against Dallas, the offensive line's held up pretty good this year. Hopefully, Evan Neal can make the trip. He's actually been playing pretty well at their draft, one of their draft picks this year for the Giants. So, again, they're doing some good things, but again, you want to make sure you're not running that workhorse guy into the ground. And as I've said, the Packers, they could figure it out. If the Giants are one dimensional, they're just gonna bring the house. They're gonna load the box up, and they're gonna make Daniel Jones pass the football.
Well, they tried to do that with whole Zappy on Sunday with the Patriots, and the Patriots were still able to find ways to run the ball pretty well. And then, that game ended up being a lot closer than what probably it should have been. Rodgers did throw a pick six and a couple things with the Patriots' way, but the Packers ended up pulling out. So, I mean, it's possible, Jim, that the Giants could go over there across the pond and get a W.
I think the last time they were, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking of the time before that. I know they're either 500 or they've won the last time they went over there, they won a game. So
I think they said that the Giants have never lost in London and the Packers have never played in London. So
all right, so something's gonna change. Something's gonna change on Sunday.
Hey, I was gonna say that Giants team is. We always talk about the offense, right? The lack of receivers, Saquon, getting 100 carries a game, and Daniel Jones doing Jones things. But really, for this Giants team, it's the defense. The defense has been huge for this team. The whole reason why they are, with a winning record, period, but it's because they're able to keep the games close. They're able to keep the offenses, give Daniel Jones essentially the ball back each time, and it's like a bend don't break situation for the Giants defense. Am I wrong on this?
No, not wrong. No, I mean, you go back to the first weeks against Tennessee, kept it close down. They didn't let it get past 13 points. They were able to, work their way back into games. Again, outside of the Dallas game where they that game probably should have been over in the second quarter because CeeDee Lamb was wide open and dropped a gimme touchdown by Cooper Rush. He comes back and he's like, yo, my bad. I'm like, yeah, it was your bad because that game probably shouldn't have come down to Dallas scoring later in the game in like the fourth quarter.
Not only did he drop that open touchdown that, almost cost him the game, but he did cost me a fantasy point game on that. So
yeah,
appreciate CD for that.
Yeah, exactly. But no, the defense has played really well. I mean, it's always been a staple of good Giants teams. It has been the defense and it's been a good running game. And, obviously they've had their quarterbacks throughout the years, Eli, Phil Simms, guys like that. But it's always been defense first with the Giants, and the offense is going to come by running the football, or you're gonna make receivers out of somebody. And maybe if Robinson comes back, that's another target for Daniel Jones. Get the tight ends involved. They're going to have to change their offense up because they don't have a game breaker down the field.
Hopefully, Kadarius Toney can come back. He's been hobbled by a quad injury, so I mean he's got some speed and he looked good in limited time last year. But you're talking about that Giants defense. I was just kind of scrolling here. They haven't only that Cowboys game was over 20 points or more. They haven't allowed a team to score over 28 on them. I mean, that Cowboys game was the most at 23, I think it was. So. I mean, that defense is legit. That's what they got to do. Play really good defense that keeps them in games.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what they have to do every week. And as we said it from week one, it's going to be ugly. It's not going to be pretty. And you shouldn't expect pretty from the Giants because that's not the type of team that they are. It's never been pretty if you're a Giants fan. Outside of the year, they had Plexico where Eli could throw the ball up and he'd go get it. I mean, this team is never been pretty. It's run the football, hard-nosed defense, ugly victories. That's always been the Giants' staple.
Well, they're about to get a lot of down and dirty games coming to play. I don't know if you saw this. They hold 29% the efficiency, third down percent for opponents against the Giants defense. But now they got, Rodgers. Offense is struggling. Green Bay doesn't look dandy like they had in past years.
Well, here's the thing. So I didn't know this until Dan Orlovsky pointed it out this morning on Get Up. The Packers have the second most explosive plays in the NFL. They're just, their explosive just looks different than everybody else because it's not 40-yard bombs down the field. It is, Aaron Jones breaking a few tackles here and there, but they have the most second most explosive plays in the NFL. So I know we say that it is a struggle because it does look like a struggle, but the explosiveness is still there. And I've kind of said this even way back when it'll be a struggle early on for the Packers, but about midway through the season, once they figure it out, we'll be all right.
Well, so what are we talking midway though? Are we talking like week 5 coming up, or are we talking?
I think week 8
yeah.
is about midway. Yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of explosiveness, I mean, Nick, I gotta, I was watching that game yesterday with the Patriots, and I gotta say, your boy, that was a touchdown. I really don't care what the rules say. That's a touchdown, because any other place, he's down by contact before that ball comes out. So I understand the rule. I get it. I understand it. It's stupid because he had possession going to the ground and he was touched and his elbow and knee hit in the end zone. I get it. You have to survive the ground. That's a touchdown.
Hey, we're playing in the backyard. We're all saying that's a catch and a touchdown. That's exactly what I say. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's fair enough on that. Yeah, no, that's fair. Like, I guess explosive plays. I think you just got to have more consistency in some of these games. First off, you're playing against a third stringer quarterback, and your defense is having struggle of keeping the run contained, let alone Bailey getting his occasional pass downfield. So there's just, like you talked about last night, we were talking on your show, doing the recap, essentially, that, and I asked you about the Green Bay's defense. Are they really not good or something like that? And you were right. They can't stay off the field for long because the offense isn't moving the ball down the field to keep the defense on a rest.
Yeah, our offense has got to sustain better drives. I mean, our offense is still struggling to score points, even with the explosive plays. So it'll be interesting with the Giants and the Packers, because I think both teams want to do the same thing: take care of the football and run the ball and get a few turnovers and win the game ugly, low scoring and ugly right now.
That's it, low scoring and ugly. That's right. How it's going to be for both teams.
Jim, who else are you seeing here through 4 weeks in the NFL that maybe we didn't think were worth anything essentially going into the season, and now they could possibly be contenders to win their division, if not compete for a playoff spot?
I mean, can I stay in the NFC East and say the Eagles?
Yeah,
because I didn't expect that, to be honest. 4-0, I wasn't expecting that kind of start.
Yeah, I would say the Eagles at 4-0 for sure, because we didn't know. Jalen Hurts, you just didn't know, right? Like, that's the big question mark. I would say Jacksonville, right? I mean, I know they're 2-2, but I mean, they could very easily win that division. The Titans are 2-2, and right now Jacksonville's probably got the better quality wins, right? The win against the Chargers. Who'd they beat it? Who was the other team? They lost
the Colts. They crushed the Colts.
Yeah, and that's what Titans beat. Crush the Colts. Everybody's crushing the Colts right now. So
except the Chiefs for some reason.
Yeah, except for the Chiefs for some odd reason.
Yeah. We'll go lose to the Colts that are just getting all their weapons back in Indianapolis, but instead we're going to go down to Tampa Bay, throw up 20 early, and then just stay ahead of the whole game for whatever reason. Two completely different teams. I don't get it, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy, but no, it's like the Alabama connection in Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith. I mean, that's been explosive for them. I think that's given Jalen Hurts comfort this year to allow him to be more explosive and the quarterback that we saw in college. And good for him. You know what? With the situation he went through in Alabama, transferring Oklahoma, gets drafted. A lot of people weren't sure about him. And, the jury is still out, but, through 4 games, this kid's performing really, really well.
Yeah, he really is. Hey, so you do a little college ball, right? You're on a couple of shows for college ball, right?
Here he goes. Tanner's trying to get in his Rock Chalk Jayhawk, because everybody forgot that they even had a football team.
You know what? Though they're ranked 19th this week. Big game against TCU. Game day will be in Lawrence, Kansas this week for TCU and Kansas. So college football, hey, look, the college basketball schools are both ranked, Syracuse and Kansas, both 5-0. Both schools playing really well. And you know what? Good for Kansas. Good for Kansas.
I don't think it's good for the Big 12 because they all hate KU anyways. So I mean, if they have to deal with us in football on top of basketball,
who's left?
Really
who's left in the Big 12? It's not even Big 12. It's like Big 4. They're not even. I mean, get out of here.
When the Longhorns and the Sooners decide to take their last place in SEC, here in next year,
they're getting a preview. They're getting a preview of what last place is going to look like this year.
Yeah, well, Oklahoma with the loss to K-State, now TCU, and we're going to TCU. I ain't worried about those guys. I mean, I'm excited for guys like Houston, Cincinnati to come in, UCF coming in the Big 12, replace them. But yeah, look, OU and Texas are the least of my worries. I hope we beat them again. Texas again, just so we can rub it in for the last 2 years, saying we beat you guys, and they would hate us for it. But I don't know. Like I feel like I said it last week on Rob's show on Thursday nights that he does for college that KU and Iowa State was a huge test, which it was. But now we're in an even bigger test coming to play with TCU, who just walloped Oklahoma. I believe was that at Oklahoma or was that?
No,
TCU?
it was at TCU. That game was at TCU.
Yeah, and that was an Oklahoma team that normally bounces back after a loss to a previous team, and they didn't bounce back at all last game.
No,
well,
and that defense is not good. That defense is not good for Oklahoma this year.
It's sad too because that's Will Venables, like his MO is good defense. Remember, like that's why they brought him. He was the DC at Clemson for all them years, and they were churning out first round picks after every year. But I mean the Sooners lost their quarterback, I don't want to even hear about Oklahoma, and now Tanner's over here just glowing about Kansas freaking football.
Every D1 team is Kansas top 20?
Are you kidding me?
I just said they ranked 19.
Yeah. Yep.
How are you gonna say? I don't know about OU not winning crap the last couple of years. They've been in the playoffs. I mean, and then we see what happens in the playoffs. They get blown out in the playoffs. But
yeah, but I mean, let's be honest. Look at outside of one game in the semifinals, every semifinal game's been a blowout.
Yeah, it is. It is. And now they're going to expand it so we get more blowouts, and it's still going to end up being Georgia and Alabama or something like that.
Exactly, it's still going to be SEC teams in the final anyway, so it don't matter.
So is there a concern for Georgia though this year? I think they had one of their guys.
They've been struggling the last two games. The last two games.
Missouri, the Tigers are not worth being a team to lose to. First off, if you're going to lose to anybody,
well, they didn't lose. They struggled. They won. They survived. They almost lost.
I almost don't count besides horseshoes and hand grenades.
Exactly, but the Dogs. I like that comment. Wait, go back.
Stick around, Ayo Saba. We got hockey talk here coming up here soon.
Look, I watched that game. Georgia was playing. After it was over, I was like, they ain't gonna be number one after this week. After what Bama did in Arkansas, I was like, the Alabama's gonna be number one. Georgia will be two. But you gotta look what the Big Ten's going on right now. Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State playing really well. That Big Ten East is always a murderer's row of who's gonna come out of it unbeaten, one loss, whatever. But Oklahoma State making a case in the Big 12. There's a lot of good football happening right now over the Pac-12. USC, Utah, what's going to happen with those teams? Tennessee.
Oregon's kind of bounced back since their early losses.
Yeah, but Bo Nix can't play against Georgia. So, I mean, like he can play against everybody else except Georgia.
Put Bo Nix in a highlight situation. Let's be real. Put Bo Nix against Alabama or Georgia or heck, I don't know, maybe even Clemson. And you may not have a guy that's performed. You might see what the Georgia game was essentially.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, good give credit for Oregon to bounce back the way they have. LSU's bounced back after a bad loss to Florida State in the first week. Wake, nice bounce back win for Wake this week, beating a Florida State team, going on the road after a tough loss at home against Clemson. Clemson comes in, basically says to the world, we're back, beating NC State.
With their secondary and third string defense.
Yes.
Like half of them were ruled out right at game time.
Yeah. DJ looking good. DJU looking good. Clemson looking real strong in the ACC again, making noise. So everybody thought it was going to be SEC 2 teams. I'm not sure this much this year because somebody in the SEC might have a loss going in that title game.
What's the status on Bryce Young? I know he got banged up there on Saturday. Yeah. Is he coming back, or what's the status on him?
Saban says it's day to day. AC joint sprain, so you don't know until he goes out and practice. He said he's had, according to Saban in the post game, he's like, he's had this last year. After a couple of days, it's been fine. He can throw the ball again. I mean, Texas A&M's coming to town. Bama shouldn't be too worried. I mean, the A&M offense is just not good, and Texas A&M does not play well on the road, especially against Alabama in Bama. In Tuscaloosa, it's not going to be a pretty game. Bama should win going away. And Bryce should be fine for the rest of the year, but it's just tough to see because they're more dynamic with him in there, but they had to change it up to where they had to run the ball more. And we know what Alabama can do running the football.
Jim, I haven't really followed a whole lot of college football soccer season with all my kids right now. So who's like the Heisman? Who's the Heisman runner up, or like who's the leading the Heisman? Is it still CJ?
I don't know if you know who he is.
Is it still? I don't recognize Kansas football until they actually do something. Is it CJ Stroud? Is that still the number one kind of guy for Ohio State?
CJ Stroud, Ohio State. You have Bryce Young down in Bama. Obviously, the kid from UCLA is getting talk up. DTR, the quarterback. It's always like quarterbacks and running backs. It's never like it's supposed to be the best player in college football, but it always goes to a quarterback, running back, sometimes a wide receiver. Caleb Williams is getting talk for what he's doing in USC. So it's so early because a lot of these guys, can they sustain the play throughout? And then there's always guys you don't see that are never on national television that put up great numbers throughout the year and should be a Heisman favorite. Adrian Martinez. I mean, he's another guy.
Adrian Martinez is still playing college football.
He's on K-State right now.
Yeah, he's the quarterback.
It's one loss to Tulane right now. It's because of Adrian Martinez. I mean, that's why they're winning so much.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
I thought he was like a fifth-year guy at Nebraska 2 years ago.
That's what I thought.
Man, Nebraska got a new Martinez guy.
Nebraska, getting fired coaches. Wisconsin fired their coach. Colorado fired their coach. It's pandemonium out there.
Who do you got? Do you have any early candidates replacing Nebraska right now? Like, who would you say going into next year should have Nebraska?
Tom Osborne.
Maybe. I mean, I'd say whoever wants the job, maybe think twice about it.
I didn't know Wisconsin fired their coach.
Yeah, it just happened today.
Today, yeah.
Oh shoot, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the reason that I didn't even know they were struggling that bad?
Who did they lose to? Didn't they lose to Illinois over the weekend?
It was Illinois this week. Yeah.
And that requires firing.
Yeah, that definitely requires firing.
They got beat by Ohio State really bad.
Wow,
they lost to Illinois, and they had one other loss too, I thought, or didn't perform very well. That's a team that probably should at least been in the conversation, at least beginning the season to win a conference. At
least go to the title game.
Yeah, at least to the title game. They're usually right there.
Hasn't been anything. If Wisconsin passes on him, Lance Leopold ain't leaving Osaba. We all know this. Yeah, he ain't going to another broken program after he fixes one.
Wisconsin's not broken. Wisconsin, it turns out year after year, I would leave Kansas in a heartbeat and say, I'm getting out of this basketball school and going to where I can recruit someplace. Who have you played?
Houston, West Virginia. We beat Iowa State. We beat Duke, who was undefeated and who only held teams to like 14 and under.
Duke, like that matters. It's not college basketball. It's talking about football.
Don't hate on the basketball schools.
Yeah. Syracuse 5-0. Syracuse playing well too.
Dominating. Granted, they almost lost a couple of weeks ago on a Friday
night.
I
think Tennessee's undefeated. So
Tennessee looks like a monster this year.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh my, scoring points like no other. All right, I want to know real quick here. I know it's early. We're only like 5 weeks in, but what's your playoff prediction?
I mean, I would say I would be remiss to say I think Alabama, Big Ten champ, either Ohio State, Michigan is going to be there, unless Penn State somehow like runs the table and runs the gauntlet and does the whole
Penn
thing.
State's they're in the East though, right?
Yeah, with Ohio State and Michigan, that's a gauntlet.
Is Michigan really that good though? Like, I know they didn't have much of a pre-conference, or whatever schedule going into play, but I mean they beat Iowa. That granted, Iowa can't move a ball down the field. It seems like
Iowa has their quarterback is a monkey humping a football is better than Petrus at quarterback. So Petrus.
Iowa sets offenses back like 50 years. I mean,
yes, Petrus is the worst Don't get me started on Iowa's freaking defense. Our offense, God, it's so awful.
I like JJ McCarthy at quarterback. I like the moves that Harbaugh made. Again, everybody's looking ahead to see Ohio State and Michigan towards the end of the year when they'll probably go to the comp. But Michigan still got to play Penn State. Both teams still got to play Penn State. Michigan always slips up against Michigan State somewhere. Somehow Michigan State always pulls up a win. So let's see if Ohio State and Michigan are undefeated going into that game. Anything is possible. To me, all eyes will be on the Pac-12. Can USC remain undefeated, get through Utah, win the title game? Because if they can and they look good, they just have to fix their defense. Then they'll have a legitimate shot at the playoff.
Is USC back, Jim? I mean, they finally got the right.
Bring him back.
They got the right coach, the right quarterback. USC is back, right?
I mean, I think if they make the playoff, I think I can make that affirmative statement saying that they're back, officially back. A lot of transfers this year, use the transfer portal. But I think Lincoln Riley's the right guy there. You could clearly see it through 5 games, but they got to shore up that defense, especially again playing against weaker opponents. I mean, Arizona State kept that game close. Fresno State, like you should be able to. Your defense should be able to keep those leads, especially against weaker teams. So I think they have some things to work on. Never satisfied, like Lane said. Always got to work after the game. I think USC will be back if they make the playoff. And don't discredit Oklahoma State, what they're doing after a big win against Baylor.
I just want to ask about the USC. Is it Lincoln Riley? Is it it might be a combination of all three. Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams, because he brought Caleb in from Oklahoma, we know. And is it the NIL too? Because they went out and just,
they got
guys, right?
Receiver,
yeah,
right?
They used a lot of transfer portal this year. NIL. Mario Williams came in. He's a transfer that came in that with the offense. So yeah, I mean they used the system to their advantage, and USC, and I think that's something USC needed to do to get back to prominent because you're going to be switching to the Big Ten soon. You want to show that you can compete with those teams. And, I think for the Pac-12 to be relevant, I think USC needed to be good. Yes, Utah won the championship last year, Pac-12 championship. I think Utah will be good again. But, I think for the Pac-12 to have a team, it has to be SC and it has to be an undefeated SC.
Pac-12's never made the playoffs.
No, I think that is incorrect.
I thought they've never made it. Who made it?
I think it was Washington and Oregon. I think both made it and both lost.
Yeah,
I didn't think either one of them made it. Yeah, I was thinking it was 2 SEC teams, usually a Big Ten team, and usually Oklahoma.
ACC, I think it's usually. Well, I think one year. I think it was one.
Clemson.
One year Washington got in and got smoked by Alabama.
I'm gonna have to Google it because I didn't think.
So he's right. Since 2017, not. Pac-12 has made the 4-team college playoff
since 2017. Yeah. Wow.
And that's when the 4-team playoff happened. Yeah. So I thought so. I thought I was right on that one.
I think it was the year before that Washington got smoked by Alabama.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
In like a bowl game or something, a bowl game. But I was saying since the 4 teams, I didn't think that.
I think they've been close come the final weekend and they've just missed out.
Yeah, it's usually that they need to win the title game or something, and then it doesn't break their way.
But yeah, no, I mean this would be the year for them if USC can run the table and look good doing it.
No, definitely. I'm excited. It's a lot of college football left, and I'm excited for it here. And a lot to talk about ahead of time. All right, let's get to it.
Learning time with Jim.
Learning time with Jim.
All right, let's
Lucky
go.
time.
Let's
I
go.
saw there was a bunch of moves that happened. I heard a retirement happened. We're getting closer to the season start. What's going on, Jim? What's going on in the hockey world that
All right,
we
so-
need to know?
All right, so we got a couple retirements. So Zdeno Chara retired, PK Subban retired, staples for their teams on the defensive end. Chara's, draft pick of the Islanders, went to Ottawa, Boston. Mostly everybody knows him his days with Boston. Big Z back there. Won a Stanley Cup 2011. Was part of that core with Bergeron, Marchand, all those guys. PK was drafted by Montreal. Flamboyant guy, did well in Nashville with New Jersey. He's retired. He's going to go to the media. Most likely he's going to be with like ESPN, TNT, one of those guys. He's great for television. He's a personality. It's good for the game, grow the game. So those guys retired. Big news today from Ottawa, one of the teams that up and coming that have high expectations. Their goaltender is going to be sidelined with upper body injury for 5 to 7 weeks in a tough team. In a tough division where a team with expectations, you're going to lose your starting quarterback. Look where I am. Starting goaltender. Starting goaltender. That's a tough blow for the Senators to make as the season opens next week. The season officially opens this weekend over in Prague. The San Jose Sharks and Nashville Predators are going to play a couple of games over there to start the season. That'll be fun. For the overseas crowd, the global series, as they like to call it.
What is that, an early game? I'm trying.
They're two. It's like right before the official. Like it's the start of the season, but it's the unofficial start of the season because the official start of the season starts next week.
Jim, where is the Winter Classic being played at? Because that's really, to me, I feel like that's when hockey season we kind of talked about that when hockey season starts off. Where's that being played at this year?
It's in Boston. It'll be the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the Boston Bruins back in Fenway this year. So that'll be a good matchup, fun matchup. I mean, everybody complains it's always the same teams, but there's a reason why it's always the same teams because it's a ratings draw, especially on the day that there's a lot of college football.
I'm about to say, I feel like Michigan would make a lot of sense for those two.
They did it at the Big House one year. They did it at the Big House at Michigan's home field 1 year, I believe.
Yeah, it was the Detroit Red Wings taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs 2014. I'll never forget it. I was there for that game. It was awesome to be at that Winter Classic. So much fun. Nice. It's awesome to be at those kind of games. It's a once in a lifetime kind of thing where you want to go experience the outdoor games. After you experience one, it's like, all right, I'm good. So,
that's kind of on my bucket list to go. That's why I was asking. Me and my wife have been trying to plan someplace to go for New Year's Eve, but I ain't going to Boston. That's too far.
I thought Minnesota had one last year.
Minnesota had one last year. St. Louis played.
It was like negative.
St. Louis had one. I think at Busch or something like that.
Yeah, St. Louis had one at Busch Stadium,
like 2015.
Chicago.
Yeah.
They
need to bring it back to St. Louis. I'd like to go to that one this time.
I mean, I thought St. Louis did a pretty good job with the Winter Classic this year. I thought when they had it, I should say.
Yeah.
Against Chicago, I thought that was pretty good. But it all depends where they want to go, where they want to do these stadium games. I know there's a stadium series in North Carolina. Carolina Hurricanes are going to get their game back because of COVID last year. I think Washington's coming in for that game. The All-Star game's down in Florida. They're trying to make some things up there with the All-Star game. I thought Vegas did a great job. I don't understand why it just can't be in Vegas or Nashville every year. I personally think that would be ideal, just to have those two cities just host the All-Star game every year. That would be fun.
That make too much sense.
Yeah, exactly, because the NHL doesn't make sense half the time. But but no, look, also Keith, I also forgot to mention Keith Yandel on the same day. He was the first guy to start this retirement trend on one day. 3 guys retired on one day. So give it up for the Iron Man. Keith Yandel also retired. And then, of course, Nathan McKinnon, somebody had go before. Nathan McKinnon, highest paid player in the league, salary-wise, $12.6 million, 8-year extension with Colorado. So the Avalanche are loading up for another run at the Cup this year.
Dang, so they are loading up into play.
Yeah, they're loading up. I mean, the concern for them is obviously goaltending. Let's see what Georgiev and Pavel Francouz can do. Who's going to be their second line center? Obviously, with Nazem Kadri in Calgary starting the year. Calgary looks like a very, very strong thing. I think they're better this year than they were last year, and that's saying something considering who they lost and who they brought in. And I think Calgary's going to be ready to go this year.
Look like George Kittle almost caught a touchdown, but I think he stepped out. I think it's gonna get called back.
It's gonna get reversed.
I think so. Yeah, it's gonna get. It looked like he stepped out.
Pretty disappointed here. Like Cooper Kupp just almost went to 100 yards from 60 to 100 in that drive right out of the half, and then they ended up kicking a field goal, and now 49ers just marched down like 4 plays to possibly score.
Well, now they're going to have to settle for a field goal. It's 4th and goal. Kittle's foot was out of bounds, so now they're bringing in the kicker. It was on the back. It was a back line. It was a heck of a catch, and just couldn't quite get that foot in bounds. And so now it's 49ers making it 17-9 here. Go back up by 8.
Let's see what happens here. So,
Robbie Gould, the gold standard.
The one that kind of caught my eye today, the news was Sidney Crosby talking, and that's kind of front. Of course, I pulled it up in his front page, but he's saying he's got the vets back, he's got Malkin back, and Letang looking to possibly make a push for a cup this year. Is that possible for Pittsburgh?
I mean, anything's possible. This team's aging. They changed their defense up. Jeff Petry's in. They moved out John Marino to New Jersey for Ty Smith. Obviously, Letang signed a big extension. Malkin signed a big extension. Rust is back. Raquel's back. Malkin. They have the band back together. No Evan Rodriguez. He's in Colorado. Can Tristan Jarry and Casey DeSmith be the duo and the tandem that bring you to the promised land? Look, I'm all well and good for making the playoffs. You got to win. Pittsburgh hasn't won since 2018. They haven't won a playoff round since 2018. They haven't won a Stanley Cup since 2017. They should have beat the Rangers last year. You can't blow multiple goal games in back-to-back games, and you're up 1 goal late in Game 7. You got to figure out a way to close that. That's on the defense because Jarry played out of his mind with a bad ankle in Game 7. So they need to figure out a way to close that game out. Anything is possible. I think I give them 1 to 2 years before, things they really have to look towards the future because it's not going to be pretty as we've talked about here. I mean, it's going to be like the Chicago plan. I mean, hopefully not 9-year plan, but it's going to be bad. I mean, it's going to get ugly real quick in Pittsburgh. But I think they have I still think they have 1 or 2 year window, but eventually, time's going to start to run out on this Penguins team.
I was going to say, is this sort of kind of like the last hurrah here with that group with Crosby and Malkin? I mean, those guys have been playing almost 20 years in this league. I mean, 2005, 2006, they came in.
Yeah, they've been together a while. They've all grown. They all played together. Marc-Andre Fleury in that mix as well, even though he's not with the team anymore. Yeah, but this Penguins, this team, they're looking for a last dance kind of thing with this group to see if they can get one more out of it. We'll see what happens when the puck drops. I mean, it's a long season. Anything can happen. I think I'm not going to ride them out just yet, but it's getting close.
Gotcha. One last question here. Looking at injuries here. Sean, see, man, learning some hockey is going to make me say names I can never say before. Sean Couturier.
Oh, Sean Couturier. Yeah, Couturier.
Sean Couturier. Okay, see, I was totally botching that. So he ended up not needing surgery on his upper body injury for the Flyers. And that's a guy the Flyers have kind of built within their system. Is that pretty huge on that going into play?
Yeah, I think that's big for him because, if he had to have the back surgeries, most likely he would have missed the entire year. Now he's probably going to miss, they classify him as week to week. We'll see. He's definitely going to miss the start of the year. But the fact that Ryan Ellis is, gone for the entire year again, and he's probably never going to play again, which is unfortunate because he was a great defenseman for Nashville. They're hoping, but I don't think it's going to happen. it's a good thing for him because Couturier has been really vital to the Flyers' success offensively. So hopefully he can get back in the mix. Joel Farabee's moving along nicely for this Flyers team, but it's just going to be a lot of pain in the city of brotherly love this year. Even though, John Tortorella's there, that team is just, it's not good. And that's being nice. It's just not a good team. And, put my allegiances aside to the banners that are behind me. As analytic wise, looking at it, this Flyers team is just, their goaltending needs to be better. Defensively, they're not good. I don't know where they're going to find goals. And there's just so many injuries that I just don't see this Flyers team making any strides this year.
Gotcha, man. Let's see. We got a comment here. It says, Tanner, we need to make a bet if both of our teams went out to the Thanksgiving matchup in Manhattan. I agree, Jason. I'll get with you when we get closer, see how things are going. Maybe we'll put a bottle on it or something. I'll make a TikTok out of it even so people can see it.
Tanner, are you going to Manhattan on Saturday?
I'm not going to Manhattan, but I might
Or
go
Lawrence,
to Lawrence.
I mean. That's what I meant to say. Lawrence, are you going to Lawrence? First time ever for game day?
I don't know yet. I'm working. I'm trying to work it in the schedule here to get in. So I think it'd be fun to do. I just want to go see Pat. Really, like I don't even care the whole game day crew. Like, let me just go see Pat. That's all I want to see.
There you go. Yeah, go see McAfee. Let's be honest.
That's all I want to see.
Yeah,
that's for real. I don't care about anybody else on that squad. Let me go see Pat.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens here going to play. I might be able to squeeze in a few people, and maybe we can all head up there early and have a little fun. Ayo Saba says he's been. It's super fun. I should go. All right. Maybe I'll make it work here. I mean, it's nice too, right? So it's all in the morning. So even if I don't stay for the game, it's still a fun experience. I can be home in time to do stuff. So
there you go.
Yeah, I'll keep everybody informed. If you go follow me on my TikTok, Whiskey Sports Podcast, you might see me with some game day film coming.
There you go. There you go.
There you go. Hey, go up Friday when Pat does his solo show. That way you can just, if you just really want to see Pat, and then just head back on,
Hey, maybe I can get on or something like that. Talk to Pat like, dude, what the hell's wrong with you? Why are you on 900 different shows? You're never home. It seems like what do you? How do you get free time with the family? That's all I want to know. Is how does he balance the schedule?
Exactly.
Sunday, not Sundays. If you follow him on his Instagram, Sunday's his day where him and his wife just chill. So my kind of guy.
I feel like this guy takes ice baths on Sundays because he's around. He's doing his show throughout the week. He was doing WWE Friday night. Saturday, it's now college game day. And I feel like this guy just needs like an ice bath of just. So. Go rep the sports buffoons with super annoying. Dude, I should. Hey,
you should. You should,
this, baby. I got the sports buffoon sign here. I could go.
You should do it, man. I mean, let's be honest. You should do it.
I will.
Good marketing.
That's right. That's right. I'm gonna. Dang. Now you guys got me all thinking here. I might make some magic happen here. This might be fun. Well, Jim, you got anything else for us? Any cool takes? I don't know. I forget. Are you a big NBA guy?
I mean, I'm a Spurs guy. I mean, I'm just glad. One thing for me before I get out of here, I will say I'm glad for Becky Hammon winning a WNBA championship. Should have been the coach of the Spurs, but hey, it's all right. Pop is still there, going strong. So hey, as far as any takes go, not really right now. So early. Just don't overreact too much to things. That's my biggest. About?
The Phoenix Suns just lost to a NIBL, whatever it is, team by double digits.
It's all right.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares, Jim? It doesn't matter until Christmas.
It don't matter.
It don't matter till Christmas.
It doesn't matter right now to me.
Oh, yeah.
But no,
there's 3 times you need to check in on the NBA. And I'm pretty sure that's how I probably, if I was a huge hockey guy, I'd probably feel the same way. You check in at Christmas time, to watch the games on Christmas. Then you check back out because you're so involved in football. Then you check back in, All-Star break, trade deadline. and then the last little month of the season to catch who's making the playoffs. Because if you're not making the playoffs, you don't really freaking matter. And there's 16 teams that get in anyway, so it doesn't matter. So half the league gets in. So you follow that, then you follow the playoffs. You follow about the month after the playoffs because that's when the draft and all the cool free agencies and who's going where and what. After that, you can check back out until Christmas time.
I mean, that's pretty fair assessment. Outside of like opening day, everybody wants to watch opening week. Get the weekend. Okay, all the cool games. All right, cool. Get through that. Winter Classic, Stadium Series. Then you're into your All-Star game, your trade deadline, all that stuff. For those that have to do it all the time, we try to watch all the games and try to get all the highlights, try to do the West Coast bias thing because everybody's like, well, everybody on the East Coast doesn't stay up and watch the West Coast games. So how you seeing all the best players? I'm like, all right, fine. I'll watch the highlights of the guys out on the West Coast. That's fine.
That's all I do, yeah.
Yeah. I'll watch some of the games too. I'll see the guys come in that are on the East Coast. But that's a fair assessment. I will say, comments like, Avalanche could have. I don't base anything off the preseason. I really don't. It's great for the guys being evaluated by their teams. Who's going to make rosters, PTOs, all that kind of stuff. For me, is the Devils goaltending situation better? Yes. Based on the preseason, it should be better. Great. A lot of these teams that are struggling or playing well, it's the preseason. Let's see what happens when the puck drops and these rosters of NHL players are put to the test when game 1 happens.
This is how you know preseason don't mean shit in any league. The 0-16 Lions, the year they went 0-16, they were 4-0 in the preseason.
Preseason don't mean nothing.
Shows you preseason don't mean dick.
Exactly.
I
Preseason
do
doesn't
want
mean
to
nothing.
justify that comment. I'm pretty sure he was just being sarcasm in that play because we were talking about NBA.
Oh, yeah, that's all right. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying the preseason, I don't look at the preseason. I'm like,
in any sport.
Oh, yeah, I don't really care about it. I don't care. It's great for evaluation, great for scouts. You want to look at your talent, evaluate the guys that potentially have borderline results. Great, that can make a team. Awesome.
The Rams are fighting each other. Sorry, Jim. The Rams are fighting each other over here on the sideline. I can't tell who it is, but they got into a heated scuffle between each other. It looked like whoever number 50 and 58 is, looks like they were scuffling with each other, fighting each other here.
That's crazy.
On the sidelines.
Samsoni Bookham and Justin Hollins.
Yeah, I didn't see what caused it because I was listening to Jim and talking, and then I glanced back over to my phone and I see two guys scrapping it out, and they're teammates. So that's always that's never too good. And they got the coaches in between them. Yeah.
Did we have another scuffle this week or?
Yeah, it was Marcus Peterson in the Marcus Peterson Harbaugh.
Right,
it was the Ravens game yesterday.
The breakdown, the whole fourth down and go for it call that ended up backfiring.
Well, that and then Peters was mad because he felt like the Ravens should have let him score and to give our advice, and then they weren't all on the same page.
That's fair. I mean, Peters is a competitor. I know it from the Chiefs days. Like people might deem him as a crybaby or like a mean guy, but the guy's he's just competitive. He has that blood in him that it just runs deep for him. The game does.
He cares about winning.
That's all he wants to do. That's all he wants to do, and he'll show it emotionally too. Being a guy. Well, Jim, we won't keep you much longer here. I appreciate you joining in, talking. I always enjoy talking with you. So much appreciated talking about a little bit of everything again today. So, but yeah, you have anything coming up here we can help promote?
I know tomorrow, check it out on Let's Talk Sports. Dan and I are back with our Let's Talk Puck segment. Check it out. He'll drop it in the afternoon. Talk some hockey. Hockey shows are back. Check out the podcast for Full Press, NHL, and the final word on hockey. Two of the things I like to do. And, just stay in tune. Check out the article drops and, just follow along and enjoy the ride.
I like it. I like it. We'll try to get you on back next week here. Again, we greatly appreciate you joining on and talking with us.
I appreciate you guys having me on. Always fun. Great chat as always. And enjoy the rest of the game, fellas.
Hey, see you, Jim.
All right. Have
Thanks,
a good
Jim.
night.
Ooh, Ayuk and Jalen Ramsey are tying it up with each other. It looks like, I mean, both of them grabbing each other's helmets. Then Bobby Wagner's getting in the middle of it.
Oh, wow. Hey,
no flags.
Yet.
Unfortunately, no flag. Surprisingly, no flags were thrown there. 49ers moving the ball here. They're already in field goal range to go up 2 scores with 10 minutes to go here. Rams offense. What is going on with the Rams? I mean, it's like really good one week. Really, I mean, I guess you could say the same thing about the 49ers too, right? Like really good at times and really bad at times. I mean, the 49ers, I wouldn't say have really played really good at all. They just played ugly and have won some ugly games.
I mean, tonight they seem to be moving the ball down the field pretty well. They're just, struggling finishing drives. But, like we saw against the Broncos game, the ugly game last week, and it was a struggle. It wasn't a team moving the ball down the field. Jimmy G was on the same page as Shanahan. It's like, maybe these guys talked it out. They had a whole week to be able to just discuss things and be like, hey, here's my thoughts. Here's your thoughts. Let's combine up and let's fix this thing. And obviously the energy from the 49ers maybe have come back a little bit towards the Rams. And, I don't know. I don't get with the Rams. This team should be dominant, and all they can find is Cooper Kupp to throw to. He has over 11 receptions right now, I believe. Maybe he has 12 now.
Is Allen? Let me ask you this: is Allen Robinson drop worthy now? I mean, you dropping Allen Robinson if you have him on your fantasy league? He ain't touching the starting lineup anytime soon. At least if he was on my team.
15, like a 15-man league, like a 15-round league. Yes, I'm dropping him.
There you go.
If I'm in a deeper league, I'd stash him. But yeah, I'm dropping Allen Robinson if I don't have a deep league at all. A 10-man or whatever. It's not worth holding on to a roster space at this moment. He's not getting the targets. When he does, they're bad throws, or he can't get to them. So, it's not worth it. I know.
Yeah, he's not.
Was it Wisniewski?
Yeah.
Wisniewski?
He's not in that. He is not getting the volume that we saw with Robert Woods or even Odell.
Or even see, now I'm gonna
Van Jefferson. Oh, he missed the gold standard. The gold standard.
No good.
Missed the field goal. No good.
On the 24, he kick just
Oh, we got a comment here too.
Allen
chiming in here.
Are the Rams really bad, or did the 49ers finally decide to play offense? The 49ers decided to play offense, Alan. That is
the 49ers went back to what got them to the NFC Championship game last year. Heavy run, a lot of directional plays with Debo in the backfield, or getting him the ball. A lot of quick screens. It seems like they're not going to force the ball down the field. What's happened in this game for the 49ers is they're winning and it's close, right? To beat the 49ers, you have to get up on them. If you can get up by 2 scores on the 49ers, it's over. They're not a team that can come back really from behind because they can't sling it.
No, they can't.
But their defense is going to keep them in games because their defense is still really freaking good. As we've seen, the Rams have kind of went down there, but the 49ers have held them to 3 field goals. And, the 49ers have got the lone touchdown, 2 touchdowns. That's it, So another game where the 49ers, it's not like they're learning to play offense because it's not a whole lot better than what it was last week. They just found the end zone twice.
Yeah, no, and there's more in this game. Really, you're seeing is the team that finishes in the red zone. Right now the Rams get to the red zone and they can't do jack squat going into play, but yet the 49ers are able to execute at least a couple of touchdowns to stay ahead. So, it's still anybody's game with 8:38 left, but I don't know. I'm just not impressed with this Rams offense. I don't think it's necessarily the Rams being bad. They just can't move the ball tonight.
The 49, like I said earlier, the 49ers just have their number. There's just sometimes a team have your numbers. We talked about it with the Chiefs and Colts, right? Like, seems like every time the Chiefs go to Indy, the Indy has their numbers. I think about what was it, way back when Andrew Luck, there was like a 20-point game. The Chiefs were up, and Chiefs choked it away with Andrew Luck in the playoffs against the Colts in the playoffs when they had Andrew Luck. What was that, like 2012 or something like that, 2013?
2013, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, it seems like ever since then, it's, even kind of before that, it's every time they go to Indy, it seems that's what happens. It seems like Green Bay, every time they seem to play in Detroit, that something crazy, Detroit somehow pulls out a win here lately.
Right. It's not a lie on that. Yeah. I mean, it is the year of trends, it seems like. So that seems to be the thing going on. There we go.
No, Derek. Eric Armstead's out for the rest of the game with a foot injury, according to Rap Sheet.
Eric Armstead is?
Yeah, out with a foot injury.
Wow.
So, what's we didn't really talk about it yet. A lot of injury news coming across the wire today. Javonte Williams out for the year, torn ACL, MCL. Looks like Burks, the Tennessee receiver's out. He's got turf toe. He's going to be out for a little, at least a couple games. Cordell Patterson on the IR, so he's out for 4 games. So I'm not that I'm happy. I don't ever want to see a guy get hurt, but I have Tyler Algier on my fantasy team just sitting on the bench for the perfect opportunity, and that opportunity will begin next week.
Maybe this Patterson injury might be good for Kyle Pitts owners, because now he needs a new, a new dump spot going into play, and maybe Kyle Pitts can be that guy.
I think they just want to run the football in Atlanta. That's what their coach said. So I think that's what's going to happen.
Well, you got Mariota, so you might as well do something simple.
Alan's got another question here. He said, having a solid defense help Parsons versus Donald next week. I mean, it's not really, to me, it's not really like they're facing each other. It's because they're, both guys are on defense. So it's not really like they're going. Aaron Donald, I think, he is a monster among, he makes these guys who are grown-ass men look like little boys. That's how good Aaron Donald is. And Michael Parsons is an absolute stud as well. As far as coming off the pass rush. That'll be interesting. I've always been a huge fan of Aaron Donald just because how he makes such, they got three times they got to go against him.
San Francisco.
Oh, I must be behind. Oh, there it is. Yep, pick 6. That's ball game right there. 5 minutes to go. It's over.
It's over.
49ers win.
Here to get home. So for that Parsons Donald next week, look, I hope the Cowboys are taking notes here on putting pressure on Matt Stafford all game long, because I think that Cowboys defense is able to. Parsons obviously can, but as long as that the coaching staff is willing to put some pressure on the Rams, you're going to see a similar situation. You're going to see execution not being done in the red zone. You're going to see Matt Stafford essentially get blown up because his offensive line is awful. I honestly think the 49ers defense and the Cowboys defense are pretty similar in that play because they can produce pressure. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think Dallas, if they can come up with some schemes to be able to get pressure on Stafford, it's going to be a long day because let's be real. Stafford's only going to right now Higbee and Kupp. So Kupp with 12, 13. I think he was trying to go to Kupp on that one too. And obviously that didn't work out. So, yep, Cooper Kupp. So, once you read the guy like a book, Trayvon Diggs is going to be able to have a time all day.
Well, that's true. But, Kupp, we can see that, he can get open and they'll scheme him. But it is, you said, it's Stafford's going to Kupp every time. It's almost like he's got back when he had Megatron back in Detroit where it would just be Megatron or nothing. You know what I mean?
2 different players too. One guy that didn't need to get opened, and one guy that
gets open. Yeah, but what I'm just saying is like he would always look to him. You know what I mean? It was like Megatron or nothing, and And once he retired, then he had to start slinging it to a couple different people. Now he's got Cooper Kupp, and Cooper Kupp, it's just Cooper Kupp every time. Drop back Cooper Kupp. Drop back Cooper Kupp. And, well, there it is, and it's an interception,
Yeah, exactly. That's the hardest part for this Rams offense is they got to find other playmakers. That's what it's going to come to be. Hey, no, give me a second. I'll be right back. Real like 2 seconds.
All right. So I mean, the Rams now that division, Arizona's 2-2, Seattle's 2-2. Who else is 2? I mean, 49ers. Everybody in that division's 2-2 through the first 4 weeks.
2-2. And I think the 49ers have the division lead now because they had that Seattle win. Now the Rams win. Yep.
And so, I mean, both those, everybody's 2-2. The division really up for grabs. We still got a lot of football to play, but I mean, it's moving quick.
Oh, right. See here, let me get a check on Jonathan here as we round up here. Let's see where he's at.
Matthew Stafford, 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter this season. Zero pass touchdowns this season in the fourth quarter. Stafford,
at least I know I won some money today.
Is it the elbow? Is it, what is it with Matt Stafford? Just, I mean, seems to be struggling this year.
It's not the elbow. We saw it last year too, where he threw these kind of games where it's 3 interceptions, 2 interceptions. Decision making, trusting his weapons, trusting his offensive line, essentially. So, that's really comes down to.
Fumble. Did they fumble?
They recovered it though, right?
I think he was just down.
Okay, just down. So, I mean, that's what it is. It's not necessarily an elbow or like a body issue. It's more of a decision making and more. That's just who he is. I think, if anything, of a trust factor going to play like this. We saw it in Detroit too, where he trusted only a couple guys versus, maybe 3 or 4 going down the way. So a little worrisome for, Rams fans. Yes, they won the Super Bowl, congratulations. But
so
this year's
the Niners, they said they have 1 touchdown we just saw, obviously, and then 5 sacks and 11 hurries tonight. The Rams offense, I mean, yeah, they're missing old man Witt. Witt, Witt, their center from last year.
Oh yeah, Andrew Whitworth.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're missing him. They're missing a couple guys going to play on this. Making sure I'm boom. Just checking a couple things. Nope, nothing there. So I was doing a quick check here. Jonathan says he's about on here. So, bottom 8th, 1 out, 3-0 Phillies right now over the Astros. And then, and Aaron Nola's perfect game bid ends in the 7th. So Aaron Nola's out there pitching like a man like no other. And Milwaukee and Arizona right now, 4-4, currently going to play in the end of the 9th. So they're going into extra innings as we go into play.
And Milwaukee's got to win, right, to stay alive?
Milwaukee's got to win, and I'm pretty sure because they are 2 games out of the wild card that Philadelphia has to lose.
Hey, the Cubs did all they could to help the Brewers. I mean, we swept the Phillies.
Oh, yeah, no, Brewers beat themselves. This was an all-year-long thing. Brewers ended up beating themselves, and now they're in this situation where they have to win out and hope Philadelphia loses out.
That's not going to – I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen.
It's not good. But for my bet situation, I hope the Brewers win today. Anyways, just so I can. So we'll see here. I'm keeping an eye on them too here. And I got a cool graphic for Jonathan when he opts on about the Braves and Mets. So I think he'll like it when he gets on. Man, I was really hoping I can get away with, a Rams bet today on a couple of bets, maybe the Rams would be the one team this week that would show up and do damage. I thought the Dolphins were on Bengals. Dolphins weren't favored, and they ended up crapping the bed.
Yeah, the
Rams
Bengals covered. Yeah,
and then the Colts.
Well, this was a pick'em game here. 49ers Rams was, I think it was like 2.5 or something like that. Anything over.
Oh yeah,
under.
No, I was doing money line. It was plus 150 when I put the bet in for Rams.
Yeah, I had the 49ers the whole way. I liked the 49ers money line. There's another. I mean, that wasn't Cooper Kupp. That was
Skowronek.
Yeah, that was a nice catch.
He's good, but he just doesn't. They don't go to him enough.
Well, they don't go to anybody enough unless it's Cooper Kupp. I mean,
don't you think this team right now is just waiting for Odell to come into play?
Hey, I'm hoping Odell decides he wants to come to Green Bay. Hey, that's what lovely Kay Adams is. Hey, Odell, listen to the beautiful. Hey, listen to the beautiful Kay Adams, baby. Hey, listen to her. She's saying, "Hey, come to Green Bay." If Kay says come to Green Bay, you should listen, Odell.
Kay Adams was doing sideline coverage during the Chiefs preseason games this year. It was fabulous. Fabulous. She actually did really well, on it. It was pretty funny when she got to interview them.
Yeah, she's pushing for Odell to come to Green Bay. I'm all aboard. Stafford just took a huge sack. There's sack number 5 on the season, on the game.
On the game.
There he is.
Oh, we got him in?
Yep.
Hey, what's up, Jonathan?
How's it going, guys?
Good. Oh man, what a night! How are you? How's your night going?
Going good. Just finished up practice a little bit ago, so I'm trying to run around a little bit and make sure I can get back. But I saw the time on the clock, and I knew I wasn't gonna get back in time, so I wanted to get on at home. So I want to make sure I get in with you guys.
Gotcha. I love it. Hey, real quick here, and answer a comment. Hunter, what's up, Hunter? Good seeing you. He goes, "Hi, do I drop Schultz for a Fearmouth or do I give Schultz longer? Give Schultz time. He just got back from an injury. The guy's still going to be effective. Don't drop Schultz yet. Maybe drop another player for Fearmouth if you need a tight end, but don't drop Schultz." Sorry, Jonathan.
I would see wait one more week on both of those guys. I'd like to see who's Kenny Pickett's favorite target going to be. Is it going to be Muth or it could be George Pickens? So
I know what it's going to be. It's going to be the ground. Because his next 3 games are not pretty. All right, so Nick, should we jump into NFL or should we do MLB first?
We'll go ahead and we'll go ahead, Jonathan. So I don't want to talk about I don't want to break Jonathan's heart of talking about the Saints and the double doink. So we'll let him celebrate the Braves win. So we'll just go ahead and go ahead and jump into the baseball.
Can't celebrate too soon yet. We still got one more game for my Braves to really celebrate. But yeah, let's talk about the weekend and make me happy for a little bit longer.
There we go. So yeah, how about it? Braves sweep the Mets. Huge series coming into play, and Braves take care of business.
Yeah, I mean, it was a matter of time, and at least in my eyes, I've been kind of waiting. I think a lot of Braves fans were waiting for when the Mets were going to Met, and essentially what they did. You had a 10.5 game lead. Everybody in the media, everybody in New York was crowning the NL East champs already. But I mean, again, the World Series champions, so they're the defending champs. You have to make sure you finish them off. The Mets, you had the feeling that this was a different Mets team, but they haven't proven that. So that was something that was kind of a wait and see. When was it? Is the Mets going to collapse, or was the Braves going to be good enough to take it? And I like the latter of that. I think the Braves were just good enough to catch them, and it was just a matter of time where they have said, "We've been there, we've done it, and we're going to do it again." And what better atmosphere? I don't know. I mean, you guys can tell me this. I mean, y'all have watched baseball over recently as well. Is there a better atmosphere in a playoff setting than in Atlanta right now, as far as how they've been able to build that stadium and build the area and what it's looked like? I mean, that is.
I'm always going to say Wrigley. I'm always going to say Wrigley, Jonathan. You know what I mean? It's been a while since we've had the place packed, but I'm always going to say Wrigley.
I'll give you that. I mean,
now, the Braves are pretty cool. They get the lights out, going to play. They get their cell phones out, darken the place.
I mean, you got the drums,
tomahawk chop.
You got the drums going. The tomahawk chop is, no matter what some people may feel about that. I love it. I love the atmosphere, and it's just it's a difference maker. It's an absolute difference maker for that team and for the fans. And when you have a playoff setting like that, it truly is intimidating. And you saw it. It was on a grand stage over the weekend on ESPN on Sunday, and it was just amazing to see the team feeds off of it, and it showed. And they proved to be the better team in this NL East race, and it was just a matter of time until the Braves did.
When you can sweep the Mets had it set up perfectly. I mean, DeGrom and Scherzer in those 3 games, and you can beat those two. I tip my cap to the Braves because beating Scherzer and DeGrom on back-to-back nights, that's something that it's hard to do. And I was hedging my bet towards the Mets just due to those two guys being the gamers that they were or are, to the Mets in that series, that I figured, hell, they'll take 2 out of 3 with at least those two guys going. Those two guys will keep them in game. So I tip my cap to the Braves here in that huge sweep.
Absolutely. I mean, you had it right. All the Mets really needed to do was just win 1 game. I mean, to secure the division, take 2 of 3 at least, but they just needed to win 1. So obviously the odds were in the Mets' favor. Again, you have the 2 best pitchers, statistically of what they've done throughout their careers, and DeGrom and Scherzer, taken in that setting. I mean, absolutely. I'm sure everybody thought, well, it's easy for the Mets to win at least 1 when you have those guys on the mound. But again, the coming out at some point, I feel like the Braves staff, especially the young pitchers of Max Fried and Kyle Wright, has to start getting the respect of being some of the top pitchers in baseball. I feel like they're being left out in that conversation nationally, especially Kyle Wright, who's a 20-game winner. The first time a Braves pitcher has won 20 games since 2003. Wow. I mean, you have what Max Fried has done over the last 2 years. I think they need to start getting a little bit more respect and put themselves in the conversation with the Scherzer and DeGrom as far as best pitchers in the National League and possibly best pitchers in baseball.
Insane. I didn't realize that it's been that long since a Braves pitcher won 20 games.
Me neither. I didn't know that either.
Bonus points for who that pitcher was back in 2003.
Early 2000s. I'm gonna take my stab at it here. I'm gonna go Glavine.
Not Glavine.
Greg Maddux.
Not in 2003. Nope.
No, not 2003.
I guess. No, Maddux was a Cub in 2004. So I don't know.
Russ Ortiz.
Oh, okay, yeah. Never would have guessed that. The great Russ Ortiz. Never would have guessed that one. I could have thought about 80,000 different pitchers before I went down to Russ Ortiz.
There's a long list of Braves pitchers. You would have never picked him out to be the last 20-game winner for the Atlanta Braves.
That's insane. Oh my. Well, we're I'm going to give a quick update here. We're watching the
Stafford just sack fumble. Yeah, sack fumble there.
What a bum. Brewers are down 5-4 at bottom of the 10th going to play. They do have a guy on second, of course, because of the California rule going to play. And then the Phillies are up 3-0, top of the 9th with 2 outs. So they're right now hitting with 2 guys on base. So that's the situation for the final wildcard spot we're looking at here, monitoring. So
who's won? You said the Phillies are winning, or
the Phillies are winning. Aaron Nola pretty much picked a perfect game through 7, almost through 7, and ended up getting broken up. And so they're up 3-0 on Houston with 2 guys on right now with 2 outs. And then the Diamondbacks are winning 5-4 over the Brewers at Milwaukee, bottom of the 10th. With no outs currently, when the guy on second.
I mean, we said this last week. I mean, does the Astros have anything to play for when they face the Phillies? And at this point, I mean, you throw your ace at Aaron Nola to go do something. So, I mean, it kind of line out in the favor for the Phillies right now.
Yep, that's what it seems like. And Nick and I kind of talked about it at the beginning of the show here, but the Brewers had their opportunity this weekend. Philadelphia ended up losing a couple games there that could have put the Brewers in place for, right down to a half game, maybe play an extra day for it at least before the final day on Wednesday. And they ended up losing to St. Louis on one game, and they ended up losing two to the Marlins this weekend, and that's kind of killed them, is not being able to execute and beat those teams you should be beating.
Yeah, and that's actually what the Brewers have become. In the second half, there's just so many missed opportunities. I mean, they should be a better team as far as what their history's been the last couple of years, and they've just have not been that same club that with the pitching staff particularly has really let them down. Has let them down a lot lately, and you have those opportunities to secure yourself a playoff spot, and you can't finish the job, and it's kind of like it's baffling to see what has happened to the Brewers this year, and where they have fallen off completely. Because I started doing a segment with you guys. Brewers were in first place. They were in first place when I started doing this with you guys, and we were wondering, can the Cardinals catch them? Not only, and Brewers just collapsed and really have folded themselves out of this contention. And it's baffling to see. And we keep saying, I feel like changes are going to happen this offseason. They have to for what has occurred. You can't keep the status quo for the changes that have done in the middle of the season. You got to do something a little bit different and go in a different direction, because what happened this year is unacceptable. It should be unacceptable to those in the front office and the coaching staff.
Jonathan, I want to get your opinion about something here as a guy who former pitcher and former player. So Yankees right-handed Luis Severino had a no-no going in the seventh against the Rangers. They took him out at 94 pitches. This was his third start since coming off the IL. His previous two outings, he threw 64 and 76-inch pitches. His season high is 103. Do you leave him in there? I mean, if you were the manager, I'm a firm believer. I'm an old school guy, man. No-nos. When a guy's got a no-no, you don't touch it. You don't talk to him. You let him go and then see what happens. Maybe that's my old school thinking. I know that they might need him for the playoffs, but a no-no is just something so special to me in baseball that you got to leave the guy out there and let him finish it.
So it was through 7 innings or in the seventh inning?
Through 7.
Got through. So in my eyes, and I'm an old school guy as well, if it was me as the man, if I'm Aaron Boone, I would give him a shot to see let's see how much longer you go. Because at some point he needs to get ramped up. I mean, I know 94 pitches is where he was at. That's ramping up, at least in today's game. But you need to ramp up a little bit. But and that's the interesting aspect of what we are in postseason play over the last couple of seasons. Pitchers don't throw anywhere near 90 pitches in the postseason anymore. They just basically get through 5 innings, throw 80 pitches, and they go straight to the bullpen. So it's in that aspect of, if you have a chance to throw a no-hitter, something that Severino hasn't done, why not give him a shot and see if he can do it? I get the injury history that Severino has, and that's probably a concern, just to make sure that he is healthy for the postseason play. Because you don't have anything to play for right now if you're the Yankees. You're just going for something that's a special game, a special moment for Severino. But does it affect you in the postseason? So I get both sides of the argument of, it doesn't matter for the team right now, but it used to mean something, in pitching a no-hitter. And I feel like with the pitching was going on, and we see no-hitters thrown. I think at one point we had almost like 10 no-hitters a couple of years ago. No-hitters kind of seem like they've lost their lust. They've lost their excitement, because we have seen a lot of no-hitters over the last 5 years. And so it doesn't seem like it's that special anymore. And I think that's why you see a lot of managers basically just say, if he's got a no-hitter through 7 innings, we're just going to pull him, because it is what it is now. A perfect game. If he's throwing a perfect game, nobody better. You better leave him in the game. I know somebody needs to be fighting him to come out or whatnot. But I think that's the idea, is that the no-hitters have just not seemed as exciting in the game of baseball as far as itself, because it has occurred quite often. And it's just like, okay, it's almost as if, like, hey, it's just another type of game now.
Yeah. See, Look, if I was the manager, and it's a good thing I'm not, I would have left him in. But Aaron, like, he did the right call. He did the right call. You got a playoff coming up into play. You're gonna, you can't risk one of your pitchers to get injured.
Well,
And
no,
I
as
think-
much as it sucks. I mean, if it was earlier in the season, mid-season, whatever, maybe even a month ago, I think I'd be okay with it. But the fact that you're so close to the playoffs starting I think is the whole reason it's a smart move.
Well, I
In
mean,
the
at
last
90,
week.
at 94 pitches isn't that bad. I mean, you let him probably he's probably, gets to obviously over 100 easily, but just let him go out there in the eighth is my, see what happens. I mean, I say that, but then I think about, a guy that was Johan Santana with the Mets. He was coming back off injury, couple of injury-riddled seasons and pitched, 130 pitches in a no-no. And then was just never the same and missed out, never the same of his career ever after that. So there is some of those things in those stories, but I just think, man, when a guy's got a no, you just never know. That's something special. I think every pitcher, perfect game and a no hitter, especially a perfect game. If it was a perfect game, by God, if I'm Luis Serrano, I'm not coming out that game. I'm throwing a freaking 90-yard fastball at Boone's freaking head. He tries to take me out of a freaking perfect game.
If you're in the playoffs, it don't matter, man. Like, if you're in the playoffs and you're in the final 3 days of it, dude, you should have threw it early. You should have tried to throw a no earlier. Let's be real.
He's trying to throw a no every time you're going out there.
Throw a no earlier, dude. You ain't getting it with 3 days left in the season before the playoffs start.
But here's the thing: they're in this. They got a bye though.
They got the bye.
They're going to have a week off no matter what. So it's not like he's got his 5 days of rest, and then he's pitching again. His season's over at this point now. He's not pitching the rest anymore in the regular season. He's going to have over a week to rest up and make sure he's ready to go for the postseason. So
I just think it's a risky injury going.
It is. Any ball game that a pitcher goes out, it's going to be an injury risk, even if it's a no hitter or not. You're going to have that, especially with someone who has injury history. There's always a risk factor in it.
With the 3-team wild card, I haven't really looked it up, but how does the schedule play out? Do the 3 wild card teams play each other, or is one team playing the 2 seed now, or how's that working out?
So you have the third place division winner in the wild card round with the 3 wild card teams. So the number 1 seed, the Astros, have a bye, and the number 2 seed, Yankees, have a bye. And the third place division, the Guardians, will be playing one of the wild card teams along with the 2 wild card teams playing against each other.
And is that a 1-game playoff, or is that like it's
a 3-game series? So the higher seed of the in that series plays 3 straight home games in that wild card round. So there's no travel at that point.
I got you.
So Guardians will host the 3-game series, all 3 games.
The fourth, whoever that 4th wild card is that the Mariners, or it was that's the Mariners, right?
So the Mariners is their 6.
Yeah. So they would
play the Guardians.
They'll go to Cleveland, yes.
Okay.
Who
is hot right now too? The Guardians are.
Then you have Tampa versus Toronto.
Okay.
Correct.
So I'm going to ask you this: that week bye, because I always feel like we've seen this in the World Series where a team just steamrolls through their playoffs, and then they have like a week off before 7 days, 12 days sometimes before the World Series, and those bats get cold. Is that something that we should be worried about here with these 2 teams that are going to have a bye? Because this is where the Cardinals are going to come into play, Jonathan. They're going to win the freaking They're going to win the World Series. I'm telling you, because these 2 teams are going to have a bye. The Dodgers are going to have a bye, and they end up playing the Dodgers. I guess the wild card, one of the wild card teams will probably play. They're going to end up playing your Braves, and the Braves' bats are going to be cold because they sat for a week, and the Cardinals are going to continue to be hot. I'm telling you, it's happening. Mark my words right now. I've been saying this is the perfect season of the Cardinals right here. I've seen it 100 times. But, I mean, in all seriousness, though, are you worried about this week off because we've seen this happen where bats get cold?
I'll say this real quick before I answer the question. I know you're a Cubs fan. I know you hate Cardinals, period. I hate the Cardinals in the postseason because of what happened in 2012 on Chipper Jones's last year The infield, the stupid infield
Was that
fly.
the infield? Yeah, the infield fly game. Yeah, yeah.
I held a grudge against the Cardinals for 10 years because of that. So, I mean, as far as postseason wise,
Join the club, Jonathan. Join the club.
I despise the Cardinals in the postseason because of that. And I hope we get revenge to ending the careers of Pujols and Molina to avenge Chipper Jones's final year with the infield fly. Just want to make sure I get that out there. To answer the question, no, I don't know at the moment right now because it's something a little bit we haven't seen the schedule be like this. So I don't know how teams are going to handle this extra bye week. In essentially what it is, it's a bye week now in the postseason. So I think with today's game, though, you see a lot of guys are still finding ways to stay in rhythm, and a lot of teams have been becoming more adept to become, to stay within their schedule when they have this time off. Whereas in the years past, they have given them more time to just rest because it has been a long season. But you're seeing more of this where you kind of stay a schedule and you have to follow the schedule. I think teams are going to find ways to at least continue that. Maybe not, at least, live BP, having your pitchers throw, 20 pitches here, 20 pitches there. You have taxi squad guys on the 40-man, the extra guys are on the 28 roster. They're going to probably pitch a little bit extra to make sure that your batters stay ready to go. So I think they're going to keep the schedule as is, what their team's routines are, and that way you can kind of keep things in a flow. I would be concerned just to make sure that, hey, if there's time off, how do you handle that time off, and does the bats get cold? Because again, as I've had a conversation earlier today, pitching lasts better in the postseason than hitting does. Pitching dominates in the postseason, whereas hitting does. It's up and down, hot or cold. Pitching, there is no hot or cold. You're either on, you're not on, and that's how it works. And that's, you see a lot more guys like that are on in the postseason. Pitching dominates in the postseason. So I think you're going to find some ways that these teams are going to, especially the teams that are on the bye, the Astros, Yankees, Dodgers, and hopefully potentially the Braves. And still right now we're still waiting for that one. I think you're going to find ways to keep the schedule where you're still seeing live pitching, you're still letting the pitchers get work in, and you're finding ways to keep the bats going. I think you're going to see teams kind of move to a schedule like spring training, like a spring training type schedule where you're not playing games every day. If you're some of these regulars, you're still seeing pitching, you're still seeing like control squad type games, to where you're continuing to stay ready for those games that when it's your turn to play in that divisional round.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think there's going to be, the schedule's going to stay the same. It's going to be treated like I don't want to say like all-star break by any means, but you got those couple days in all-star break where you get some rest in, but essentially you're working before and after, just making sure you're ready to go into that next game that comes on the schedule. So yeah, I agree with you. I think the schedule stays the same, practice stays the same, and I'm not too concerned about guys like the Dodgers or even Houston here of having to go cold all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think you're going to find ways. You have to find ways to keep the schedule going, and everything's about routine in baseball. And when you break the routine, that's when you kind of start seeing these guys get cold a little bit here. Again, use the Braves as an example. Braves, got into their hotel at 5 a.m, completely out of their routine, out of their norm, and they walked through a loss today to the Marlins. So I mean, we're creatures of habits when it comes to baseball players, and if you even a slight break in that habit, it throws everything off. So managers, coaches, on these front offices, they're going to find ways to keep a schedule to where it's almost as if, like I said, it's like a spring training like schedule for 4 days, 5 days. And then when you're ready to go play, now you're still in that routine. You're keeping that habit going.
Yep, fully agree. So
Brewers every matchup is. Oh, the Brewers won.
So the Brewers did win 6-5 in the bottom of the
Phillies
10th.
are about to. Phillies
are 1 out away.
So all the matchups are set right in the American League. And then we're only just waiting on this National League with the Phillies
National
and the
League's
Brewers.
Only one set. Yeah, the only National League's the only one we're waiting on.
Gotcha.
And then the Braves Mets too.
Yep.
Saturday they have the 1 game left.
It's over. Braves got it.
Don't jinx us, Cubs. Don't Cubby.
I might have just gave you the Bodkins KOD, but you know what I mean.
You're done, Jonathan. You're done.
God.
Here's your wild card.
Oh, man, come on! Don't the Wrigleyville curse. You're going to give it to us right now.
Hey, there is a thing called the Bodkins KOD. So I mean,
the
ask
Indianapolis Colts right now.
I haven't even gone and bought champagne yet. I'm waiting to make sure that we get the win before I go buy the bottle of champagne and crack it open. I mean, that's how serious I am about making sure we don't jinx it.
I feel you. I've been there.
I'll tell you a quick story. I bought like 5 bottles of champagne during the World Series, and I had them all sitting in the refrigerator the entire game 5 that was in Atlanta. I pulled them out in the 6th inning. I think I put them out in the 6th inning, and all of a sudden I feel like I was like second guessing myself. Should I have done this? And sure enough, we ended up losing game 5, and I'm like, crap. So I made sure that the game 6 rolled around. I left those bottles in the refrigerator until that final out was made. I said, all right, now let's go. Let's pull them out now.
Oh man, yeah, you gotta be careful in that stuff. You don't want to say the wrong words or anything. We're on an 11 pitch at bat right now, by the way, going to play with Dubon up to bat on Eflin. So 11 pitch at bat. See if we get the final out or not.
Let's go ahead and talk about your Saints real quick before we get out of here. I mean, tough loss there. The old double doink in, in London.
61 yards.
I mean, that game. But I mean, credit to the Saints because that game should have been a lot worse, right? I mean, no your boy Jameis Winston, no Alvin Kamara, no Michael Thomas. But hey, you know what? Andy Dalton played pretty well. I think I would go with Andy over Jameis the rest of the season because he ain't going to beat you. He ain't going to lose you games.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I did a show earlier or at the end of last week, and I did predict the loss. I predicted, and I agree. I predicted it was going to be a 27-14 loss for the Saints.
It should have been, yeah.
Just because of the weapons that we didn't have. I didn't have a lot of confidence in what was going on. And I feel like, as I said, there's an identity crisis with the Saints right now. And I was happy we brought we got the coaches that we have and that kept them in house. Dennis Allen being the head coach, you keeping Chris Richard and Ryan Nielsen as D coordinators, Pete Carmichael. I was happy about it, but at the same time, I was wondering, is there going to be an identity crisis because it's Sean Payton's system still. You're still having Sean Payton's system with the Dennis Allen hire on defense, with the Pete Carmichael offensive coordinator. It's not Dennis Allen's team still. You're still keeping the Sean Payton culture without Sean Payton there. And I feel like that's an issue right now because you're looking at it. Dennis Allen has an impossible job. Sean Payton's a Hall of Fame coach. You're following a Hall of Fame coach. You got to keep the success of the culture that was built, but you got to find a way to make it your own. And you're not doing that with the same people in house. It's not your culture. It's still Sean's culture. And I feel like that's creating an issue with the identity of this team and how they're performing, how they're playing. At the same time, it's the lack of discipline with this team has reared its head. That it's not necessarily there with Sean. So I feel like there's deeper layers that's going on with the Saints, more so than just talent. I mean, again, it's a very talented team. They showed it even without the three weapons on offense. They're still talented. Defense is still real good. But you have an identity crisis with the team. It's not Dennis Allen's team still. It's Sean Payton's team without Sean Payton there.
Yeah, you nailed it right on the head right there. It's Sean Payton's organization and team, but he ain't there calling the plays anymore, and they just haven't looked all that great. But I mean, they're still in that division. The Bucs lost; they're 2-2. So I mean, they can still almost win that division because nobody in that division looks, worth a damn.
Yeah, I mean, you're still in it. And again, it's just a matter of can you get the offense going? Can you get healthy? That's the biggest thing. I mean, Kamara with his issues right now, it's not good for him. Where he's never really had a lot of injury history through the last 2 years. So that's a concern, especially that you signed him to a big contract, a 5-year contract 2 years ago. You still got 3 more years after this season of Kamara.
Same with Mike Thomas. Mike Thomas. They signed him to a huge deal, and we haven't seen him, but won a game, really.
And the problem of both of those, you can't trade either one of them because the dead cap hit is horrendous. You have 30, I think it's 30 million dead cap to Thomas, 25 million dead cap to Kamara. If you trade or cut them, I mean, you're stuck. You're stuck with them. So I feel like this is something that it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a struggle. And again, it's a talented team. And once they get healthy, if they're able to get healthy, I mean, they're gonna make some noise. But can they do it consistently right now? I'm starting to question the coaching. Can they bring the consistency to this team to be contenders? And I hate saying that. I love the coaching staff of what they've been over the last 4 or 5 years. You know, Pete Carmichael being there for over a decade. But you don't have that leader of the coaches that you had with Sean Payton. And that's the issue right now for the Saints.
Very fair. Very fair on that. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'd say it is down to coaching right now, you know, between not even play calling, like just as a team, like you just said, chemistry, everything. Something's got to come together here. The Saints are still a contender in my eyes especially for that division. But something's got to change. Something's got to change atmosphere wise in the New Orleans right now.
Well, you're the favorite as the Seahawks come to town. The surprising 2-2 Seahawks against the Saints. You guys are the favorites at -5.5.
Yeah, I think this
surprisingly.
If there's a game that we've had over the last month to get us right the ship, I think this is the game. Especially in the Superdome, where again you're gonna have the crowd crazy and raucous in the Superdome. So this is a game I think that you can get back to, especially since the defense has been playing. The defense has been playing well. They had a chance to win. I mean, the defense themselves had a chance to win the game in London. Again, I'll call it what it is. Two phantom bad calls that will go against the Saints. It's part of our history with the NFL that we continue to just get taken over by bad calls and everything, but. You have a good defense that can slow down, the running game of Seahawks, make Geno Smith be pedestrian, which is what he really is as a quarterback. You're able to do that, and you can be able to control the game against Seattle. I think that's what's going to be necessary for them. I mean, again, you have a Lions team that put up 40 points. Lions are not world beaters. I mean, it's a good team. They're showing like a good offense. Yeah. They're not world beaters. So you can put up points against the Seahawks, and allow your defense, which is much better defense than what the Lions have, and be able to control the ball game away from what they are. I mean, I think this is the game for the Saints to really get back on the right track.
I don't know, man. Geno Smith's coming in already, killing it.
Hey,
this guy's showing up like a starter or something like that. Somebody who's meant to start. So I don't know. I'm interested in this game to see how Geno does against the Saints defense, that looking for a rebound after the last couple weeks. So that's my take on it. I don't know. Yeah, I like the 5.5.
I'm taking the Seahawks +5.5. Like right now, that's how I feel.
I'd probably go to the +5.5. Honestly, going to play just because of the way the Saints games have gone the last.
I might like the Saints money line, but I'll take give me the Seahawks with the 5.5.
5.5. Yeah, I think Saints win. But it's probably gonna be a Will Lutz field goal, maybe at 60 yards this time instead of 61.
I was wondering, is that in a 3-minute span as a kicker kicked back-to-back 60-yard field goals?
Man, it was
how crazy is that?
That game, I mean, it was so close because it bounced off the upright. And then it bounced off the lower right, and then I thought it was going to go back in and just kind of stayed there for 30 seconds before it finally fell to the ground.
Just the wrong side of the ball bounced on that bottom right. And
that London weather is so tricky.
They had the backlash of the Hurricane Ian going into play. So instead of blowing west, it was blowing east and into the stadium.
Lutz is used to kicking in air conditioning. I mean, not open stadium. It's used to kicking in air conditioning. So I mean, and the AC in the Superdome is always blowing into to the uprights. So you never have that kick that just that moves all over the place like that. So I mean, credit to Will Lutz. He had that from 60. I think he had it from 64 yards. He had enough distance on it. So I mean, it was a great kick. It bounced, didn't go our way, and that's the name of the game sometimes.
That's the NFL for you. Let me tell you what.
It is.
That's the NFL. All All right, Jonathan, we'll let you go, man. We'll let you get home, cleaned up, and all that shebang. You got anything going on this weekend?
Yeah, we're another back in action. We've had another championship win this past weekend with my 18U team. We've gone back-to-back championships in the organization with my 14U team 2 weeks ago, 18U team this week. We had actually 2 runner-up finishes the last 2 weeks with my 12U team and our younger 14U team. So we've had a lot of success going over the last couple of weeks, and I think we got an opportunity to continue going forward again this weekend with my older 14U team. Their tune-up tournament before we go national in 2 weeks. We have a national tournament we're heading to Houston for in a couple of weeks. So it's more of our tune-up weekend. And then our 12U team's playing in a tournament as well that, it's pretty promising that they can go and compete in. So we've been really hitting it hard right now. The girls have been doing a great job as far as how they're handling everything with what the work they're putting in. We got our boys actually in action as well. Our 12U baseball team is playing this weekend for their first tournament in a few weeks. So lots of action, lots of teams, lots of the kids going at it this week. We're in the heart of our season. This is where it gets really busy for me. I don't sleep very much, and I don't mind it at all. But we're getting a lot of success. The kids are, and it's their success. I can't express how proud I am for what every one of these athletes in the program has done. Credit to them, and I'll continue sharing that credit for what they've been able to accomplish.
Wasn't that didn't I see 200 wins?
We did.
The program?
Yeah. 200 wins as an organization. When I started off 2019. We had our very first season and first tournament in September of 2019. So we are right, in that 4th year right now. So 200 wins we were able to achieve this past weekend with our team, with 3 teams, our 10U, 18U, and our younger 14U team all in action. We finished the weekend 11-3 and be able to achieve that 200th wins as well as our 20th top 2 finish. So first place and second place we have as an organization have finished first or second 20 times in 4 years. So not too shabby as well. Again, it's what we've been able to build for these kids. They put the work in. All my job is to teach them, and they go and do it. So I'm excited. I'm so happy. I can't express it enough. But I'm happy for these kids that continue to put the work in and buy into the program and the success that we've had. It's their success.
Love it. Love hearing it. Love seeing it. Keep posting it, man. I love seeing your success there with the kids and everything. So
I appreciate it.
Keep on rocking on, man. Well, hey, we'll talk.
Good luck, Jonathan.
Week.
Keep kicking butt, buddy.
With you. Keep going, man.
Guys. Hey, I appreciate it a lot, guys. Thank y'all.
Yep. Thanks, Jonathan.
See ya.
All right, guys. We got a quick comment here on the show here. Mentality. What's up, Mentality? Thanks for commenting in. He goes, should I trade Josh Jacobs for McLaurin? He has running backs are Henry, Patterson, James Robinson, Zeke, Singletary, and Jacobs. His wide receivers are Hopkins, Michael Thomas, Devontae, Woods, DK, and Ayuk. Nick, would you trade Jacobs for McLaurin?
First of all, I'm still trying to figure out what kind of league this guy's in because he's got a pretty stacked roster here. Like I'm thinking like you don't even need to make any moves if you don't want to make moves, dude, because you got enough talent on this team. Here's the problem with your receivers. So I'd keep McLaurin. He said 10-man league. I can tell it's a 10. I'm in one of those leagues too, where I look at my roster. I'm like, I don't even ever need to touch anything in this league. I'm just going to play it when it comes to buys. So I kind of get it. But if I'm you,
he has Jacobs, right?
So he has Jacobs. So I would almost make that trade because you're looking at your receivers here. You don't know. Michael Thomas has been banged up. He's unreliable just because of his injury history. Hopkins, we know he's out for another 2 games, and then I have Hopkins on my team just sitting there waiting for him to come back as to be my midseason big pickup. And I think D-Hop will be back and he'll be fine. But and then you look at Devontae, it's hit or miss right now. It's his floor. He's got a high floor or high ceiling, but his floor is awful. Woods is, you could almost damn near droppable. We're talking about Woods from Tennessee, I'm guessing. DK, yeah. You're going to keep.
Why are you saying droppable? Traylon Burks is out, dude.
I don't want the only person on that Tennessee offense is that worth is keeping is Yeah, it's Henry. I wouldn't want nobody else. I mean, Tannehill's okay if you're in the super flex quarterback league or you need a quarterback on a spot start. Ayuk, again, he's not. I have Ayuk on my team, unfortunately, and I was more happy to have him with Trey than I am with Jimmy. They're going to do it's the Debo show there, and a lot of running, and George Kittle. I don't really know. I mean, if you make the trade,
would you do it, Nick? Would you do this trade with this roster?
Would I do it? I mean, no, I don't. Is it a full PPR league? I don't think so. Probably not. I probably wouldn't, just because running backs are such high demand, right? Like there's not very many great or good running backs in fantasy. It's like the top 10 guys, and then it's just a bunch of meh,
Like, yeah, you got,
and McLaurin hasn't put up great numbers either with Carson freaking Wentz. All the touchdowns are going to freaking. Yeah, all the touchdowns are going to Dotson, believe me, because I'm a McLaurin holder in my big money league. So I wouldn't do it. If somebody offered me Josh Jacobs for McLaurin right now on my team, I'd probably take it. So
I'd give McLaurin for Josh Jacobs, but I would not give up Josh Jacobs with that roster there too.
Yeah, and you're looking at your running backs too. Patterson's out. You do have King Henry. James Robinson's been a stud for the most part. Zeke has not been a stud, and neither is Singletary. So I'd probably keep Josh Jacobs.
A nice PPR guy actually lately.
Yeah,
but like looking at this roster here, your wide receivers, right? Hopkins, Michael Thomas, Devontae Woods, DK, and Ayuk. Hopkins and Michael Thomas have been hurt, or Hopkins has been out. Michael Thomas has been hurt. But you got Devontae, Woods, and DK and Ayuk, all serviceable guys to get you through till Hopkins is ready to go.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like, James Robinson can go down any moment with that Achilles stuff he had last year. Granted, he's running for tremendously better than what Cam Akers came back with last year.
And they're they're splitting they are doing a little bit with him and ETN, but
yep.
But it's like a 50. It's almost like a Jones and a lesser version of Jones and Dillon, where you could almost play. You're not going to really play ETN too much. I mean, full PPR, you probably could play him a little bit. But Zeke,
I need that. Yeah.
In a flex, he's like a running back RB3 type. You know what I mean? In a flex position there.
Yeah, I would not do the trade. No go on the trade, man. I'm staying far away from that. I don't want McLaurin. Right now, I think McLaurin's a free agent in one of our sleeper leagues, so I'm not a bother, man. Not a bother. Don't do it. Thank you for the comment, though. Hit the like, subscribe, for if you have more questions there.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I don't really think you're in that because he has, so much on that team. I don't think if you make the trade, I don't really think you're losing a whole lot. If you if you don't do the trade, I don't think you're going to be missing out.
I don't know. I don't like it for depth wise. Don't like it. All right, Nick, as we end up here, what you got coming up this week?
So Wednesday, we'll have our NFL week 5. Man, that's crazy to say. Preview show. We'll have giving out some fantasy advice at the end there as well. So we'll be breaking down, picking every game against the spread as well. And then Sunday will be our head kicks and haymakers, our UFC show on Sunday at 7 a.m. And then we'll do our week 5 NFL reaction show Sunday night. So that's what's coming up for the week ahead on the Bodkins channel.
I like it. You guys, you can find me on Whiskey Sports Podcast here. It is my solo channel. I got my power rankings I'm going to be releasing here either Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning. Depends if I'm going to do it today. Then they also got my 3 must starts on Friday to release as well on that podcast. You can also catch me on the Sports Buffoons Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Central. We'll have, I don't know what we'll be talking about something, I'm sure. Something good as always. Then Saturday morning, 11 o'clock a.m. Central, Let's Talk Sports, AFC West roundtable with Dale, David, and Rob, Logan, and of course Dan, because you can't forget Dan. And then Sunday, the pre-show, Nick and I are usually on there, and we're having some fun there with the pre-show before the games, answering your fantasy questions, telling you who to pick, and, you know, meet some really cool people like we did last Sunday. So that's always a blast there. And also Let's Talk Sports is doing a giveaway, guys, for a NFL jersey. Go like, subscribe the Whiskey Sports Podcast, take a screenshot, send it over to Let's Talk Sports, and Dan will enter you into the giveaway for the jersey. So that is Whiskey Sports Podcast in the place. You'll see my lovely face all over it. So go check it out, guys. Make sure you guys get in that. So, well, I think it's on to week 6, Nick. It's on to week 6.
Week 6 already? We're skipping week 5?
Week 5, week 6. Oh, wait, the Raiders are Monday night. That's why I'm skipping it. Anyways, guys, next Monday night is the Raiders-Chiefs. I totally forgot about that. Raiders-Chiefs next Monday night. Well, as a Chiefs fan, I might be starting a little early. Well, if Nick can't, I'll probably be starting early, doing a live GameCast there, and of course bringing on a few people. And then whenever if Nick's able to get on later, we'll get him in, and you know, we'll get the stuff rolling. But it'll probably be a little earlier than our usual time at halftime. So look for that. Keep an eye on Twitter. I'll let you guys know with all that. So without further ado, everybody, enjoy the great week. We'll talk next Monday. And frankly, for me, go Chiefs.
Be a friend, tell a friend, folks.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Buffoons and Bodkins show. Make sure you hit that bell, subscribe, and follow for more content. Swing over to the Bodkins show, subscribe and follow for him. And then also swing over to Let's Talk Sports Network and go subscribe to him because it's phenomenal for what he does. And there's a lot more to come on that channel between us as well. So make sure you guys